Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. It's wartime. Wartime. Sulaiman Rahim, breaker of the seven seals, messenger of the covenant. Sisters and brothers, this is Redux. Came to my attention at the previous presentation on this subject. It was distorted somewhat. It seems they trimmed off the last part of it, so I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. It's a Redux. And give you some more information about the abomination of desolation, strictly from the unsealed Bible perspective. Because I go back and forth. I go from the sealed Bible to the unsealed Bible, primarily because most of you are familiar with the unsealed Bible, with the sealed Bible to some extent, to the extent that you understand the Bible at all or relate to it at all. And most of you have no idea what the unsealed Bible is about. And only those who are somewhat familiar would have any idea what I'm about to talk about. This is primarily for those who are studying the AL-INJIL, because the purpose of the AL-INJIL is to restore your mind. That's one, right? To give you a thorough knowledge of self, to make you a prophet, to tell you exactly what's going to happen before it happened. See? To strengthen your faith, and among other things. So you have a sharp weapon to counter 8 billion points of darkness out there. There's one light against 8 billion points of darkness. That's the challenge. But you have the ultimate weapon, because mind is thought, and you have to understand that. Mind is pressure. Thought is pressure. Thought is pressure. Mind is how that thought is organized. But thought is pressure. And everything is pressure. Your reality is pressure. See? And the AL-INJIL is high pressure. High pressure always expels low pressure. Every time Allah sends a messenger or prophet in, he sends with high pressure scriptures with more powerful thought. The thought more powerful than the thought that's presently in reality. So it changes it. That's how it changes it. You make sure the thought, because thought is pressure, and you put high pressure in the middle of low pressure, it will change the low pressure. Low pressure doesn't change high pressure, but high pressure dispels low pressure. So he sends a scripture with a superior thought, superior pressure. And no matter how much low pressure it is, it's going to move it. It's going to move it. It doesn't matter how much low pressure there is, high pressure will move it. 1 gallon of high pressure will move 1 billion tons of low pressure. So let's move on, brothers and sisters. Like I said, I'm going to move this fairly quickly. Hope this is a better presentation than the last one. I think they cut some off, they distorted it, and there was other issues. Let's move on. Okay, we're going to start here. See, as I said, we're going through the abomination of desolation, going through that sequence about the abomination, leading up to the abomination of desolation, the unsealed version, see, mapped into the AL-INJIL key. Like I said, it's primarily for those who are studied it, because those who are not, right, they probably have no idea what we're talking about. But for those you study, this should sharpen your weapon. Because once you understand clearly, you have total confidence, then you're able to take this and translate it into the language of the people that's in your age group, your gender, your social, whatever. Because you speak their language. See? Because you can't speak angel to them because they have no idea what you're talking about. See? But you use that knowledge, then you translate it so they can understand it. Tell them in other words, you don't have to tell them how the weather works, but you can tell them there's a hurricane coming. You can tell them there's a tornado coming. And right now, we're in a phase of plagues. The 8 plagues they're talking about Exodus, that's what's happening upon America right now. That's what it's leading to. The 8 plagues says 1619 to 2019, 40 years. After that, that would be enslavement. Then a plague that would kill the firstborn, that's the elderly, in 2020. It happened exactly on time, just like they said. Followed by 8 more plagues of different characters, weather, economics, social, political, foreign entanglements. All those plagues will be taking place all the way up to the final last plague, which is similar to the first plague. That's going to kill the firstborn, but it's not talking about the firstborn as far as elder. It's talking about the firstborn. That's the firstborn. That's Adam, right? Going to kill him. So that's another story. That's angel. I'm not going to go into detail about that. So that's talking about, in other words, it's connected to abomination of desolation. The last plague is connected to abomination of desolation. It said that one would drive you out. So you'd be driven out. That means you're under pressure. You're being driven. And it says you'll be driven out in such a way that you cannot hesitate. You cannot go back in your house. You cannot do anything. You have to. So it means you're going to be driven away at the point of a sword, at the point of death. And if you don't, and many of you would die in the process. So we're going to talk about that. The last would drive you out, because that's the purpose of these plagues, to drive you out, to send us back home. See? Because we're going back home to paradise. See? And they're going back to their hell that they came out of 500 years ago, out of Europe. See? They came out of hell, out of the pit 500 years ago, and now they're about to return to it, to the hell that they created, that they make, the hell makers, the shit makers. And we're going to return back to the paradise that we were making. But only a few will return. It says many went out, only a few will return. We're going to talk about that. See? Okay, so I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. Go step by step. So here it says, therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation, that's false Israel. Because the whole idea about false Israel is that they're pretending to be the seed of Abraham. They're pretending to be the real deal. And they're not. And the whole idea is when they return, because this is a manufactured return, right, that they would never be uprooted, that God will protect them. That's the proof that they're the true seed of Abraham. But they're about to be uprooted. And that's because they're an abomination, because they pretend to be something they're not. See, it's like a pig pretending to be a lamb. You know how filthy a pig is. That's abomination. See, they're the Satan. They said that Satan can appear as an angel of light. So he's pretending to be an angel of light. He's pretending to be like Jesus said, no, you are not Abraham's seed. He said, your father is the devil. See? But they pretend to be Abraham's seed, so that's abomination and desolation. It causes all kinds of desolation, and they're about to be desolated. Right? That's what that's talking about. So, and they're in a holy place. Who's in the holy place right now? False Israel. It said standing in a holy place. Further verses on this says, and stand in a place they should not be. Who's standing? I mean, this stuff is so clear, brothers and sisters. I said there's light switches everywhere. Who's standing in a holy place? When you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. Who's standing in the holy place but false Israel? No one else is standing there but them. And they're about to go down. That's the abomination of desolation. And then you see on the key here, right? Abomination, I got abbreviated between Syria and Iran. See? It says when you see that, in other words, you're going to see the situation where America is cast down. That's talking about chapter 18, right? America, Gog is cast down. Magog, Britain, right, is cast to the sea. This is chapter 18. See? And that means they're thrown out of the Middle East. This is Michael's angels go to war with the dragon and his angels. They throw them, and now you see false Israel surrounded by armies. They're under siege by Iran and Syria. When you see that situation happen, this war is about to take place. America and Britain, it's before, they're going to go to war with Russia. They're going to war with China. But after this, see, so we know war with China and war with Russia is on the horizon. But after this, right, those things would happen. But this would happen first. So war is about to break out in the Middle East. Iran and Syria, right, they're going to take down, they're going to kick America and Britain out of the Middle East, Gog and Magog, abandoning false Israel to their own whatever. They're going to be under siege. And when you see that, because everybody's rejoicing now, because they think this war, they expect this war to take place. And what they're expecting is that, see, because they think false Israel is the real deal. So that's when Jesus will come back. He's going to come back and save them because they're supposed to be the real thing. They're going to say, go on YouTube and all these people saying this stuff. And that's when Jesus will come back and get rid of all the Muslims and everybody else are saved. See, they're expecting that, but that's not what's going to happen. And you need to know that, because if you don't know that, and when you see that, and you don't flee like they tell you to do, you're in trouble because you're going to lose your life. That's what it's talking about. So that's when you see that situation right there that I'm telling you about. So you might not believe it. I don't care if you believe it or not right now. That's up to you. It's your life that you putting on the line. But at least you're aware of it. So when you see it, you recognize it. And that means you will do exactly what you've been told to do to save your life. Hopefully save your life and your family's life. If you're original. Anybody else, don't care. Okay. So here. Whoever is on the housetop, see, when you see that, whoever's on the housetop must go down to get the things, must not go down to get things out of his house. It means you can't wait. And whoever's in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. See, you can't. So who are they talking about? See, we're talking about the unsealed version now. See, the housetop, they were talking about the Nation of Islam. That's what we're talking about. See, housetop, the ones that got blinking. And the field, that's down in the earth. The field is in the earth, right? That's talking about America. I mean, that's talking about the Christian, the Christian blacks. Those are demons. Those are the ones they focus on right here. There's a reason for that. They're focused on those two. They say, if you know, in the housetop, talking about the Nation of Islam, don't go down and get anything. See, because you have to go down. They don't tell about the field go turn out, because they don't have that, you know. So that's this little thing, the position. They're above something. And those in the field was not turn back to get it close. So that you're gonna be in trouble. Those two, those singling out those two. So remember that. Then those who are in Judah must flee to the mountains. They talk about all the black people must flee to the mountains. Now I'm showing here the mountains. The mountains represent up there. Those are the mountains. Those represent the mountain. They also represent the four winds. See, in this case, they represent the mountains. See, and in other cases, they represent the four winds. So that's where you must flee to. See, now the sealed version tells you flee to the mountain, but you say, first of all, you know who's fleeing, you know why you're fleeing, and you know why you're fleeing to what mountains. See? So in other words, it's telling you something, but it's not telling you specific enough so you understand, to make sense of it. But the unsealed version is giving you very detailed. He's not fleeing to any physical mountains. See? Because this represents the African Muslims that are here in America. Not the African Muslims, but the Africans, right? I'm not talking about the ones with the white experience, the ones that come over here like Obama and all them. They're coming over here, right? That's here, the immigration, whatever, right? See, that's another story to get. I'm not going into detail here, right? But they're going to be under attack too. So I'm going to leave it there. See, I've talked about that before, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that right now. See, but they're going to offer a sort of refuge. So anyway, flee to the mountains. See, so in this case, primarily talking about a position. It's talking about coming together. What happens when the four winds blow? So we're going to talk about that. Maybe I shouldn't have got to it too much because I might be confusing you at this point. Anyway, so that's what it's talking about. It says, those who are in Judah must flee to the mountains. So that means when you see abomination, desolation, you can't go back to your house. See, now it's talking about all of them. It's talking about all of them now. It's talking about all, not just talking about those two there, right? Because you had the four horsemen, basically, right? It's also the white one, the fiery red, right? The black one, and the greenish yellow. Right? Three of them represents the demons, and one of them represents the NOI. Demons are master's children masquerading as black people. Okay? So it says, all you flee to the mountain. Like I said, the people that have been studying to understand. Those of you who don't know anything about AL-INJIL, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So anyway, it's telling you to flee to the mountains. So here we're showing, right, their position to flee to the mountains because they recognize it and they're fleeing. Okay? They recognize the abomination of desolation. So that says, woe those, see, I'm just breaking this passage down to make you understand. Woe to those women who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. See? It says women here, but the best translation just says, woe to those who are pregnant. So, when you say women, that kind of misleads you, right? But the best translation says those who are pregnant. Anyway, it doesn't. Don't worry about it here. So this is what it's talking about. Again, remember I said they focus on these two. Because these are the ones that are pregnant. Because see, they got something under them. That's what I mean by they're pregnant. They don't mean talking about pregnant women. They're not women that well. They're not talking. See, that's the single. See, I mean, they're in trouble. It'd be you don't really want to be pregnant when this happens either. Because I mean, that's going to be a very traumatic time. Because it says, Quran says if they have, if they are pregnant, they're going to drop their baby. It's going to be so dramatic. But that's not talking about that. See, it's talking about these two again. But in this case, right, they're talking about not, I and the demons down here, the Christian blacks. They're talking about America and Britain. Say, whoa. Woe to them, because they're in trouble during this time. When this happens, they're going to be in trouble. Why? Because they're at war now. During this time, they're going to be at war. See, they've already been kicked out of the Middle East. Now, America is at war in Europe and also with China and India, because if the Americans are at war with them, Britain is also. And Britain is at war with China and North Korea. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. These are the two they're at war with. I mean, these are the two they say woe to. They're talking about these two here. That's pregnant. America and UK. They're pregnant with the black folks, so they're the ones that enslaved us. Right? They're the ones that enslaved us. Then it says, this is one you need to really pay close attention to. See? It says, moreover, pray that when you flee, it will not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. For then there will be great tribulation such as not has been occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will be. Now, I'm going to deal with that latter part first, because it says this is great. Now, the earth, since we've been on this earth 76 trillion years, the worst crisis that we know about, told to us by Master Muhammad, was the moon. The making of the moon. See, the moon was blasted away from the earth, right? They rocked the earth, knocked the earth out of orbit, and all the water that was on that side came come back like ocean, came drop down like a flood, right? Drowned everybody that was under it. Imagine that, the whole earth was rocked. A big explosion so great that it rocked the whole earth, knocked out its orbit, blew up a large part of it away that we now call the moon, right? See, and drowned millions, who knows, countless millions of people as all that water was drawn back, because the earth has the greatest gravity, is drawn back to the earth as the moon is blown away. It came back as a huge ocean. And this is going to be worse than that. This is going to be worse than that. The worst time of trouble ever and will ever be. And I keep telling you, brothers and sisters, you need to wake up because you have no idea what you're up against. Elijah Muhammad said you have no idea what you're up against. He said, don't pray for this day, the day of the Lord. Don't pray for it. People ask me, said, no, don't pray for it. And you still, I've been preaching for 30 years. I don't think any of you really understand what you're up against because you're not preparing for it. And when the day you see it, like the Quran says, the day you see it, and it's warming up on you now. It's sneaking up on you now. And you're not paying attention. I told you America's under the plagues. That's what's going on. All this severe, this weather is tearing apart. The plague, the COVID, right? The distribution chains breaking down. The demons, that's the locusts, they going crazy. They say crime is up like, astronomically, right? See, grass snatching, all this stuff is going on. See, all these are plagues, and they're going to get worse and worse and worse until the final plague that caused to drive us out. They haven't solved one problem they've had, especially since 2020. Not one problem. Okay. And you're not getting this information, Matt, from Farrakhan. He's part of the problem. He's with the demons. He is the chief demon. He's Legion, the chief demon. We'll talk about him perhaps later. Anyway, so I told you about the time. Now, this is the first. Now see, when on the Seal Bible, you get a different interpretation here. Because Seal Bible says, right, well, pray that when you flee, it will not be in the winter or Sabbath. So you flee. That means those only ones that fleeing are those that have already gone and those that recognize it. Because if you don't recognize it, right, then you're not going to flee. That means you're going to be killed. It says, we'll pray that when you flee, it will not be in winter or Sabbath. Now, from the Seal Bible version, what that means, the Sabbath represents September. The seventh month from the first month was the first month is the first day, first month of spring, which is March. Be September. And the winter starts, that's why I waited to today, right, to present this, because today is the first day of winter. So that puts you between September and the first day of winter. They say pray, right, it will not be in September or during the winter. So that means you expect it would be sometime between October and the 21st of December. See? And I put it out there like that on this. I put it out there like that on the Seal version, right? But I did tell everybody that it's not for me to know the exact day and time, because it says no one knows that but Master Muhammad himself. And now I sit back and watch how people react to that. See, because we have to be careful. Anyway, that's another story. See, because I'm a master at weeding out the weeds. Anyway, what does that mean? So the Seal version tells you that. See? But the unsealed version tells you something else altogether. See? Because the Sabbath, that's 1 month. See? But the winter is 3 months. Winter is a season. That's 4 altogether. So you see, I show it there. What's that talking about? It's talking about the Sabbath, that's the NOI. Why? Because they keep the Sabbath. They know it's, and they're supposed to anyway. That's the whole idea. They're supposed to be obeying Moses' law. Right? But the Christian blacks, the demons, they're not. They get them Christian. We're above the law. That's what it's talking about. See? And they represent the winter. 3 and 1. 3 months and 1. They represent. So it said, pray that you're not one of them. See? Because then you're the ones that have to flee. Go see up top there? The army. See, that's part of the original nation too. They're not fleeing. Because they're already gone. See, they were smart. They was going before it happened. So they're not fleeing. Only ones fleeing are these. It says, pray you're not one of them. Hope you understand, brothers. That's what that means. Pray you're not one of them. Because you wait till the last minute, and now you're fleeing, right? As a threat of your life. Fear for your life. It says millions of our people are going to die. Millions of our people are going to die in this process. I talked about sifting, culling. See, the sifting process started 50,000 years ago. I won't go into details about that. I did my previous one, so you can look at that and get the details about that. But the sifting process started 50,000 years ago, and Dr. Shabazz says, we're going through energy deprivation, but we're looking at playing a long game. How we going to be when it ends up, when it's over. So the sifting process began, because we're going to say, okay, because we're the gold, so we're going to we're going to turn ourselves to pure gold, the best, pure gold. So the sifting process began. And the silver, that's the Levites. See, they were mixed in. So, because the gold and the silver is over here. We're the gold and the silver. So Levites are the silver, we're the gold. And millions were lost, billions were lost in that process of taking and getting emphasizing the strongest gene. No, the nappy hair, that's the strongest gene. That's the dominant gene. The dark skin, that's the dominant gene. Only people that had that dominant gene, the dominant one, because we're all black, we all had hair, but we look more like Somalians and Ethiopians at that time, like Elijah Muhammad said. See? So the real strong gene was mostly in the scientists, the God. That's why it says in Genesis, right? We're going to make man in our likeness image. It's not talking about making KV. That's wrong. See, we're talking about making Adam. But that's not talking about the same thing. See, because what he's doing is our people. Like I said, we're going to make our people raise up to the level of the same as the scientists and the God. See, so they have nappy hair like the God. See, had a feature like the God. That's why Elijah Muhammad says when you see the original man now, he looking at God. And that's another story. See, so sifting process. Then bring it over here. That sifting process. Many died in the process. Many commit suicide. Then the 400 years here. So it says many left out, but few returned. So the sifting process said only 144,000 is going to survive. That's less than 1% of the 17 million. There's 34 million blacks in this country. Only half of them are original, right? And half of them are demons. Through rape, that's master seed is masquerading as black people, skin folk, not kinfolk. So 17 million. Now the 17 million, has survived the sifting process up to the time of Elijah. See? So by the time of Elijah, right, 17 has survived. But in the time of Suleiman, it will get all the way down to only 144,000, because those ones he's going to certify. Says you have to be in his Lamb's Book of Life. So the 144,000 is going to be qualified, certified by Suleiman to make the hereafter. That's what's talking about right here. See, they're not going to flee because they're already positioned. See, they would hear the angel message. They're the only ones that will be able to hear it. They're the only ones that says, no one could hear that song but them. No one could sing it but them. The only one could sing that new song, the angel song, was the ones that heard it. And they were the only ones to hear it. Now, those who understand the angel represents them, they represent the ears. Only one to hear it. See? Okay. From here. Okay. This is Ezekiel. This is Ezekiel part here. Now, with Ezekiel, so we talked about, right? the fleeing. He talked about the winter and the Sabbath. We explained that. So now we see they're fled. See? And the winter represents the demons. Sabbath represents NOI. So now we're going to talk about Ezekiel. Therefore prophesy and say to them, thus says the Lord God, behold, I will open your graves and raise you up from your graves, O my people, and I will bring you into the land of Israel. See? It means, because you have to follow the Abrahamic covenant. This whole thing is about the Abrahamic covenant that was established 50,000 years ago with Dr. Shabazz and went into effect approximately 500 years ago when they first brought over here in 1555. See, but that's not when it's effect. That it went to officially in effect at the time of servitude, which was 1619. Took 64 years, according to Elijah Muhammad and Master Prophet Muhammad, to make the first slaves, make the first negroes, so to speak. The first came off the assembly line. Took 64 years for that to happen, right? Made in America, first negroes, 1619. So it started there. That's when it actually came into effect, because that's Abraham's covenant. We'll be strangers, sojourners in a land temporary that's not ours. It says it's not ours. That's part of the contract. Lion Farrakhan tells you, no, it belongs to us. We work for it. We build it. See, he's a liar. He's one of the demons. Because he wants to stay because it's a symbiotic relationship situation. See, where we make the gold, right? We turn their shit to gold, and they turn our gold to shit. They give us the shit, and they keep the gold. Back on, like I said, back on this so-called plantation, we produced the gold for them. We built the mansions for them, right? We produced their food for them, their wine, their clothing, and all these different things, right? Their luxury for them. And they gave us the shit. See, we produced it, and they turned it into shit and gave us the shit. Shacks, dirty, bad clothes, dirty clothes, inferior everything, right? And gave us shitlings to eat, see? Because we're the gold, they're the silver, we're the goose slaves, the golden age. But they take, since they control the affair, then they take our gold for themselves, and they give us the shit. And once we separate it from them, see, we break that cycle. That's why we need to be separated, because we're the gold and we're the silver. Once that happens, we go back to paradise, and they go back to their shit farm, hell. Because they was left alone in Europe by themselves. They created hell for themselves, because that's what they do. They're shit makers. See? And we was in paradise over in Africa, the most beautiful most beautiful land on the planet, right? Peaceful, rich, healthy. While they were diseased, tyrannical, hatred, killed each other, constantly warring each other, right? All kinds of disease, death, destruction, right? That's what they were. Left to their own, and they will return that again. So they would push back into Northern Europe and left and abandoned. And they're going to create their hell for them. We're not going to stand and be hitting with pitchforks. They're going to create their own hell for themselves. And we're going to create a paradise for ourselves. That's what we do. Hope you understand, brothers. But we need to separate, because right now, in a symbiotic relationship, look at that word, symbiotic, right? It's recycling. See? It's like, when you urinate, you turn water to urine. The sun turns urine to water. You drink the water, you produce the urine, the sun sucks up the urine, turns into water. Recycling. That's a symbiotic relationship. That's what they're doing. See, we produce gold. We take shit, turn it into gold. Right? They take the gold that we turn into, and they give us the shit. You see? See, they take gold and turn it shit, and they give us the shit. They take gold and turn it shit, and they give us shit. And we turn shit to gold, right? And they keep the gold, because they control the relationship. Once we separate it, then they're going to have to eat the shit that they create, and we're going to enjoy the gold that we create. So let's go further. See, and I shall know, you should know that I am the Lord, when I open your eyes, open your graves, and raise you up from your graves, O my people, and I will put my spirit in you. That's what it's talking about. Because Suleiman is also, he represents the sun here. He also represents one of the spirits. He's putting the spirit in what? The ones on top there. Those 144,000, those are the ones that's going to be survive the sifting process. Those remains at the end, the same will be saved. They're the ones that survive the sifting process. See? And I will place you in your own land. See, because the covenant says we're in a land that's not ours. Our own land, it says in Abrahamic covenant, is Arabia. It's very clear about that. Farrakhan doesn't talk about that. He wants you to stay here because he's part of that symbiotic relationship where he turns gold into shit because he wants you to constantly give him your gold, and he gives you shit plows ass, his philosophies and science, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't produce a damn thing in 40 some years. That's what demons do. Parasites do. They don't produce anything, but they suck your blood and leave you itch. And now you scratch your head when all the gold that you gave him where it went. See? So he's taking your gold and he's giving you shit. That's what's I'll place in your own land. So that's the story. So that's the top. See, they didn't have to flee. Like I said, they didn't have to flee because they was already positioned. They already knew. They adopted, they heard the angel, right? They made their move. They didn't have to flee. See? So they're the ones that's going to be delivered. They're the ones that survived, purified the gold. They purified gold in the furnace because it's the furnace. Remember I said, we make everything, we personify everything. There's no spirits or spooks in our reality. See? They tell you the dragon, the demon. No, they see, because we do. We see negativity, we personify it. Look at the word personification. So the flames in the furnace are the devils walking around. They're the flames. It's not invisible flames, they're the flames. So once you understand, you know to avoid them. Not marry them, get close to them, and because you're going to get burnt. You may not realize you're being burnt, but you're being burnt. So Farrakhan trying to hide that fact. He's kissing on them. He's like, devils anymore, I'm going to bring it to NOI. Because he's one of them. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand that. See? So nothing is invisible with us, because we know who we are, because everything that we take give energy form. Energy is formless. We give it form. We made the stars, the moon, the sun, all these things. We gave it form. So once you understand who the devils are, then you know how to avoid them. We give form so you can see everything. And so once the furnace is no longer needed, once we're purified, first the gold is purified, it has to be certified. Lamb's Book of Life. That's where the Lamb's Book of Life certified. He pulls the gold out. Certified, it's pure, yeah, okay. But the silver, that's NOI, that's Levites, it takes higher temperature to purify silver, to be back in the furnace. That's a tribulation. See? During this time, the whole world, because our unity caused the whole world resistance, because the whole world is the furnace. And the furnace have different degrees of heat. We're at the center of it. See? So once the gold is purified, then the silver is purified. Silver is purified during the tribulation, because they had to go back in. The gold is taken out. Then the faintest sound, the raging roarings of hell. The faintest sound in the furnace, because they've been pulled out. They're back home. So the Levites, the silver has to go back to the tribulation. And some more gold, some other gold that wasn't pure enough. And then once the silver's pulled out, it's certified, then the furnace turned off. That means all of the enemies, they destroyed. Don't need them anymore. The furnace is finished, the purification process started 50,000 years finished. The sifting is finished. That's why it says, and then it's done. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Go to the next one here. And finally, I think this is the last one here. It says, then he said to me, prophesy to the four, this should be for spirits, should be spirits here, but I'm going to stick with this translation. Instead of breath, you say spirit, but you understand. It said, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, O son of man. Son of man, Suleiman. Remember it says, son of man is the son of David. See, they can't put this together. Son of man is the son of David. It says it right in the scripture. But what was David's son's name? Solomon. The wise man ever lived. That would be Suleiman. You say Solomon was more wise than this person you call Suleiman, son of man? Does he call it God? So that's the same thing. They can't even figure that one out. That's the easier one. See? David is, it says, son of man is the son of David. And what was David's son's name? Solomon. Suleiman. It's a play on words. Prophesies to the breath, son of man, Suleiman. Say to the breath, let's say, Lord God, come from the four winds. The four winds had to blow. See, I'm not going into details about that, but I said the mountain of the four winds. See, they had to blow, right? And that's when it's that. See, and this is where Master Pharaoh steps in, helps Suleiman, right? So and breathe on these slain that they may live. Now, who are they talking about? They think they're talking about all black folks. No, we're going to see right away who exactly they're talking about. So I prophesied, he commanded, and the breath came into them. The spirit came to them. See, remember I said the Solomon also represents spirit. So some of those at the top, how do you know for sure? And they lived and stood upon their feet. See, we know how the feet, those who understand the angel, the feet. So that means the feet are not them. See, the demons are not them. They stood upon their feet. That's the ones at the top. That's the one that became the great army. So they'll follow Suleiman wherever he went, the land wherever he went. I mean, they kept pace with him. And they was say he was making his ministers flames of fire. That means they're going to light America up. They're going to light America up. See, on their way out. Light it up. It says, the gospel, this gospel, preach all the nations, and then the end will come. They're going to light America up with truth. They're going to blow away all this falsehood on the way out. America, all the forces will be blown away because that's part of the problem people here, because these devils are going to see clearly what the situation is too. And they're going to come at you with vengeance during tribulation, and then they're going to be the demons and the devils will go at it and fight with themselves, have all kind of conflict in America, because it's clear now. They're clear they're under plagues, that God's not come to save them, to come destroy them, and that we are, that black folks, right, are the reason why all this is happening. And it's total confusion. They're confused, but the light will be totally clear. It's the light that's going to confuse them. See? So how could the light, because that light will be so bright, they're going to be confusion, because they're going to be, like it says, men's hearts will be failing for the fear of those things coming upon the earth, the European countries. If their hearts are failing in anticipation, then what will they do once it happens? Because they're going to be at a time of unprecedented trouble where they eat their own children. And children will be running around in gangs, right? Because they can't stay with their parents because their parents will eat them. So they run around in cannibal gangs, eating anybody they can get that they can't find anybody. So they're eating each other. It's going to be horrible here in America. But the light's going to be totally on. So they'd be confused in derision. I put it like that. They could be in derision. See? Because now they see what I'm going to do. See? Then now they know. And I hope another way of saying it. If you know, right, that you're about to be destroyed. In other words, you see when the siege your enemies, right? Now you know your enemies got, so you know you're clear who your enemies are, and you know they got you in siege. Everything is totally clear. And you can't break. Then you're going to be confused. What do I do? I'm scared. What do I do? See, that's another type of confusion. The light's on, but the light was making you confused because now you see clearly. The enemy's got you. You're in the siege. You ain't got no food. Everything is clear. But now you're confused. You're in division because like, what do I do? What do I do? Because you know you can't give up because they won't kill you. And that you keep standing, you're going to die, you know. But the light's on. That's what's happening, brothers and sisters. That's what they're talking about. Only 144,000. That's less than 1% of the 17 million of us. It's 34 million altogether. Half of them are demons, save mass children. 17 million are original people, and only 144,000 are going to survive the final aspect, event of the sifting process. See, that's the last part, the abomination of desolation. The only ones only 144,000 are going to survive that. They're the ones going home. It says many went out, only few came return. Many went out, only few returned. 140,000, less than 1% of all of blacks in America. Meaning millions are going to be destroyed. Millions. Millions have already been destroyed. Billions have already been destroyed over a 50,000-year period. So all this sifting, Farrakhan is part of the sifting process. Those who follow him and all that carry on, right? Part of the sifting process. That's what's going on, brothers and sisters. Said they would follow the Lamb wherever he went. They kept pace with him. They kept up with him. See? Because they kept moving in time. Because Master Muhammad is going to make all things new. They keep up with him. But those other people, they didn't survive the sifting process because their minds wasn't powerful enough to escape the gravity of the devil's reality. See? Because thought is pressure. Thought is pressure. And your thought has to be greater than their thoughts. Because their thoughts is pressure. See? And so the gravity of the situation, you can't escape it. See? Because you got to escape the gravity of it to move up to heaven. And you can't. Because you think you just can't escape it. Oh man, I got to take care of this. Or I got to take care of that. See, because you don't get it. It tells you, if you love your mother, your father, it ain't matter more than this is a message. You're not deserving of it. I can't get that. You're not going to understand it, brothers, unless your mind, and you have to upload the angel to get your mind strong enough to escape the gravity of this reality. So therefore, if you're going to pull down, that means, if you pull down, it means you can't move forward. Because we're time travelers, but we move up. See? So you can't move up, that means you stay in present. See? But time is moving forward, upwards. So the gravity is holding you down. That means you stay here in the past. You stay in the present, which eventually the present comes to pass. That means you're dying, you're going to be destroyed. Because we're moving into the future, moving up into the future. But this gravity is holding you. And so your mind just can't get out of it. Oh, I got to take care of this, I got to take care of that. Oh, man, I worry about this, I got that. Or over time, you just can't, your mind just can't break free. Because their gravity, their mind is greater than your power, yours. And so the gravity is holding you down. The gravity is holding you down. See? So only 144,000 will be able to scrape the gravity of this reality. They're going to make, and they have the power to keep moving into the future. Confirmed that time is converting energy from one form to another, transform energy from one form to another. So we keep on So now we're going to transfer this shit reality into gold reality. We keep moving on. And they're going to take, and we're going to force them up into Europe. So we're going to abandon them, and they're going to do what they do. They're going to turn reality into shit, because that's what they want to do. So now they're going to be in the hell that they've been giving us, right? And we're going to live in the paradise that we make. So we're going to enjoy the paradise that we naturally make paradise. We have to create gold. So we're going to enjoy our gold that we create. They're going to suffer the hell they create. So then we're separate. That's why 2 Corinthians says, lo, we are separated. See, that's the whole trick of them keeping us together. Because they know we create gold, so they take the gold, because they control the affair. They take the gold that we create for themselves, and the shit that they create, they give to us. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See, I think that's it. Been having a technical problem trying to work it out. So let's see. Let's move on to see if we can get through this time. Okay, brothers and sisters, that's it. Hope you understand. I'm leave it there. Still working technical issues here. I had to redo this because they cut the last part off. Brothers and sisters, they're working hard because they don't want you. They want you to play games. They want you to be stupid. You fight pressure with pressure. Greater pressure destroys weaker pressure. That's just the way it is. And we have the most powerful pressure in the universe. A gallon of high pressure will blow away a billion tons of low pressure. It's just that work. It numbers doesn't matter. High pressure will blow away low pressure. No matter how much low pressure it is, it will be an infinite amount of low pressure. High pressure will move it. And we have the greatest pressure in the universe. The angel. High pressure blows away low pressure. It doesn't matter how much low pressure it is. A billion gallons of low pressure, 1 gallon of high pressure will move it. That's just the way pressure works. So you have the best weapons in the universe, our minds against their minds. Thought is pressure, the angel. You upload the angel, you increase your thought pressure. Dispel there's 8 billion points of low pressure out there, 8 billion points of darkness, 1 point of light of high pressure. And we're going to dispel all that low pressure and go back home. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. We are the most powerful weapon in the universe. Below the angel. But if you don't use it, what good is? That's why I always send a book that's potential pressure, but someone has to come and verbalize that pressure. Because that's what sound is. Sound is pressure. Sound waves. So you turn your thought into sound waves. They counter their sound waves. And yours is greater than theirs. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I think that's it. I have all kinds of technical difficulties I'm working out, so you might see what quirks it. Don't worry about it. I'm working it out. They're doing everything to stop this. They can't, but they're trying. What else are they going to do? Okay, that's it, brothers and sisters. All right. So, hope you understand. Only 144,000 are going to survive. That sifting process started 50,000 years ago. It's less than 1% total population. Like I said, because we're in the final stages, and now we have 17 million that's original, 17 million is demons, master seed, and most of them they don't have enough mental power because we move forward in time. We move upward. See? To move upward, you got to escape the gravity of the reality of the times. That's why you get a book to move you to the next level. From one step, from first floor to second floor, third floor. See, so the gospel moves you to the first floor. See? The Quran moves to the second floor. See? Then the gospel 2 moves to the third floor. See? And then that's where we are right now. Angel takes you to the 4th floor. But they tell, well, you know, they're going back on the master black. Well, I can't take you to the 5th floor. See, Quran can take the 5th floor. It wasn't designed for that. So that means they're stuck. So we move to the 5th, 6th floor, they're still down in the past. That means they're dead, they're dying. They're not going to be around because the past gets worse and worse every day. The past gets further and further behind every day. See, they're stuck in the present, which instantly becomes the past. And every day they get further and further back in the past while time travels, move further and further to the future. We convert energy from one form to another. That's what time travel is, converting energy from one form to another. So we're moving forward in time, but they're stuck back because they got scriptures that told how to form time the time of 500 years ago. Well, no, we're the time 500 years later. With the information, can't do anything now. But so that's what we're going to do. So, I mean, they can't escape the gravity of this reality. The gravity of the devil's reality is too great, they can't escape it. So therefore, they're stuck in time. They're stuck on the 1st floor. Or they move to the 2nd floor. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Now I'm going to see if this I had to put in 3 pieces, brothers and sisters, because this thing is really, I'm trying to work this out. Every day I have to struggle with this because they keep doing something. I got to figure out what they've done. I had to break it in 3 parts because every time I record it, I go back and I find out they've cut off the last part of it. So then I got to do the next part again. So you're going to see some things I repeated, right? So don't worry about it, but I'm working it out. Let's see how much it cost this time. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.